Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. I hope everyone is having a fantastic day and is ready to see and learn a little bit about some financial landmarks of America. So this past week my family and I did some traveling, but we made some pit stops at some really important sites of American finance. The first stop we made was at the Federal Reserve, which is located in Washington, D.C. The Federal Reserve is super cool, but as you can see it was super blocked off because they were doing all kinds of construction, so we couldn't get any footage of like the actual building. Yeah, it was completely blocked, but I mean you get the idea. This is what that Federal Reserve building actually looks like under all that scaffolding. But what is the Federal Reserve? Well, the Federal Reserve serves as the central bank to the United States. That's a pretty important role, and it has 5 main functions that I'm going to talk about today. The first one is creating monetary policies that will keep the most stable prices and the highest levels of employment. This just makes sure that everything is staying at a consistent price and things aren't rising and falling every other day, and that the vast majority of people are able to have a job and keep a job. Their second function is supervising banks for safety and soundness, which is making sure that the banks are doing good things with your money, being trustworthy, all that good stuff. That third function is making sure financial systems stay stable so that there's no collapse or any issues in that department. The fourth function is making sure the nation's payment systems are efficient and safe and efficient as they can be. And then the final function has to do more with the people, and it's protecting those consumer rights when it comes to banks, and also promoting the idea of community development and investment. But that is that first landmark we visited, and there will be more to come. But it was super cool to see all of these, and if you have a chance to go out to Washington, D.C. or New York to see any of these, I would totally recommend that. Another site I took note of was the FDIC, which stands for the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. So you've probably heard the acronym FDIC about 1,000 times before, but maybe you've never really learned what it means. Well, it's a good thing I'm here to teach you. But here is that building. We weren't really planning on stopping by, but as we were driving we were just like, oh my god, there it is. So we just took a picture of it. But yeah, that's what it looks like. It's pretty cool. Kind of a little shadowy, but I like it. Anyway, in bank ads and on the main website pages of a ton of major banks, you'll see something along the lines of member FDIC. But what does that even mean? Well, it is kind of a long story. It started way back in the late 1920s and early 1930s in America, where something super significant happened that is still a huge part of American history, and that is the Great Depression. Way back when, banks were kind of giving out loans left and right, and they weren't super concerned with who they were giving loans to or like the trustworthiness of the person. They were just thinking of like interest, like we want to give out these loans so we can get a little more back. But because people's financial statuses started to decline, they couldn't really pay back their loans. And because the bank had loaned out so much money, they started to run out of money. Like the banks ran out of money, basically. So basically what started happening is people started going into banks to withdraw some cash from their account, and the banks just didn't have any money to give them. Like these people were trying to access their own money, and they just couldn't. And then because of this, a bunch of banks just had to shut down and close, and millions of people lost all of their savings, all of their money that was in those banks. This then led to basically everybody losing trust in the banks, because it only takes losing your money once to kind of become a little wary of that situation. But the US government was like, no, the banks are good, like we want people to use the banks, like we can't have this non-trustworthiness, like we need people to be trusting these banks. So what the government did to make this happen was that they insured everyone's money in the bank, basically. So the US government said, we will insure everyone's money in the bank up to $250,000. So banking kind of lost all of its risks. What this means is that if all of a sudden a bank crashes and loses all of its money, the US government will make sure everyone gets back the amount of money they had in the bank up to that $250,000 cutoff. That's a pretty good deal if you ask me. Anyway, that is kind of where that FDIC came from. A lot of banks really wanted to have this status as an FDIC bank because it meant that more people would bank with them, knowing that their money was safe and secure and that they wouldn't lose it. But speaking of all this money, what drives investments nationwide? That's right, it's the stock market. A lot of people picture the stock market as this abstract concept, which in a way it is, but there's also a physical aspect to it. In New York City, there's an 8-block stretch known as Wall Street. You may have heard of it. But this houses the best technology in the world for buying and selling stocks. Basically, there's this big building called the New York Stock Exchange, which is the epicenter of all the stocks being bought and sold. It tracks these exchanges in real time, and people have found a way to just make insane amounts of money using this information about that stock market. So people found out that the closer you are to the New York Stock Exchange, the faster you receive data about the stocks being bought and sold. Because of this, everyone was like, I want my building to be as close to this stock exchange as possible so that I can know all the details first. And from there, all the business people created Wall Street in the financial district of Manhattan. Basically, in the basements of all these buildings are supercomputers that have been programmed to sell a stock the minute it rises in value and to buy a stock the minute it drops in value. And this is happening like thousands per second. Like, these computers, they're so fast. And they have algorithms so that they're not, you know, losing money, obviously, but they make ridiculous amounts of money from these machines. So on Wall Street, there are a couple other things I want to cover. There's a statue of a bull, which has become really famous because people like to take pictures with it. Okay, I don't know what happened, my video cut off, but what I was trying to say is that there's this bull statue and a ton of people like to take pictures with it because it's said that rubbing this bull will cause prosperity and will make you rich, basically. And this statue was put up in 1989, and it demonstrated a market with rising prices, which was referred to as a bull market, which is why, again, it is a statue of a bull. Nearby, a statue of a little girl was put up in 2017 to advocate for more women's roles in the financial sector. Originally, the girl was right in front of the bull, so it looked like they were having a standoff, and she's kind of standing there with her hands on her hips. She's called the Fearless Girl, and yeah, it was just a really cool tourist attraction. People love to come and take pictures with them. But recently, that little girl statue was moved, so now she's standing right in front of the New York Stock Exchange looking out at that building, and she still serves the same purpose, advocating for more women's roles in the financial sector of the United States. Anyway, I got a ton of super cool pictures with the bull and the girl, and learned a ton of new stuff. I didn't know about the power of those supercomputers. I didn't know about like that distance to the New York Stock Exchange, so I definitely got some new information, and I hope you all did as well. And I also hope that you come back next week to learn about something new. Anyway, please go and have a fantastic rest of your day, and also go get that bread.